Hey, long time no see. Since the last time you saw me, or I've posted actually anything, I've actually become a citizen of this country. And maybe I thought I would take some time to maybe share what I hope to bring as a citizen. Because, as I stood there swearing my amended oaths to this country, I remembered the words of Jesus. He said, "My kingdom is not of this world." And that reminds me that before being American or even an American citizen, I'm actually a citizen of heaven and a follower of the Lamb who follows him, Jesus, the Lamb, wherever he goes. The man sitting next to me asked me about my amended oath, and I quickly responded that it had to do with my ability, or actually inability, to fight physically for this country because, I signed up as a non-combatant, which is actually also based on the words of Jesus, who said, "My kingdom is not part of this world. If it were, those who follow me would fight, but they won't, because my kingdom is not from this place. It's from another place." And so it was a beautiful ceremony, and there was amazing things happening. But before it and after it, I started thinking a lot of who I am as a follower of Jesus and also as a lifelong Seventh-day Adventist, which means I believe that at the end of the Bible, this country that I'm now a citizen of is clearly found there. And in there, it tells me that it starts out as a lamb, but ends up showing dragon and dragon-like qualities. Now, I've always admired that this country was founded on principles like liberty, justice, and the freedom of religion. But if the Bible is correct, and it has been so far, it tells me that one day those principles will stop being foundational. So my goal will always be to stay alert and unafraid. And as I continued thinking about this, it brought me to a concept that I found in probably my least favorite chapter in the Bible, which is Romans 13, which ironically is inside of my favorite book of the Bible. And it reminds me that God has set up authorities, and authorities of every country, to maintain order and justice. Now, I've always paid my taxes as a non-citizen. I've obeyed the laws and have been a productive contributor to society, as they call them, right? And because, as an exemplary citizen of this world, I believe is a good representative of God's kingdom. But if the laws of a country ever go against or contradict what God commands me to do, I will have to say what the followers of Jesus said. We have to obey God instead of people. Now, don't get me wrong. I will never be defiant to any authority, but my oaths to God will always go above and beyond what a man tells me to do. And I'm actually honestly looking forward to all my new civic privileges, like voting. I've never been able to vote. I've never voted even in my own home country because I left as a little kid. And in fact, today was the first time I swore allegiance to the flag. But my allegiance will never be my worship. I'm a proud recipient of the American dream, and I'm living it. And I'll be honest, despite all the problems that I see around me, it still feels lottery winner-esque, honestly. But I'm never going to confuse the American dream with the gospel of the kingdom of Jesus. Jesus has an enemy whose entire goal on this side of God's kingdom is to confuse, to deceive, and to divide. And right now, I see something that has that very effect today. And it's called Christian nationalism. I will never let my patriotism blind me to the danger of religious nationalism. I've had enough idols to deal with. How I feel about a country cannot be another one of them. I'm done with that. I don't need any more idols. So my hope is, I hope that as a citizen, I can live a life that reflects the only sermon that matters. A life full of humility, that is open and honest about sin, that gives control to Jesus, that is hungry for the right things, that is merciful, forgiving, that looks for peace, that is giving, genuine, loyal to Jesus, less anxious, flavorful in a salty way, as Jesus said it, bright, less hypocritical, loving of the people who call themselves my enemies, and a blessing to those who hate me, full of prayer, looking to stay on the narrow path, and a builder of the kingdom that he started to build. This means that I can't and won't weaponize the very words he left behind for me to use in a way that might condemn anyone that can be called my neighbor. I can only use those words to invite them into the hope of the kingdom of Jesus. And as I navigated this, I have actually, if I have learned anything in the past few decades, it's probably that I still have a ton to learn, and that I have even more things that I should probably be unlearning. I have to recognize that truth can be present for us today, but that present doesn't stay present for long. History unfolds, and so should my understanding of truth. I need to study and be responsible for what the Bible says about this reality I live in. But I also have to be humble enough to learn new things that the Spirit of God might be telling me today and tomorrow. This means that what I know to be prophetic has an identity that comes with an application that makes that a compass in my life and not a cage. Okay? That's how I look at prophecy. That's how I look at prophecy as a citizen. A compass, not a cage. And I want to be known by my identity in Jesus. And it has to reflect a love for my family, for my neighbors, my enemies, and even strangers. I can't hope for Jesus to return and identify with a group that includes that hope as part of their denominational name, that he's coming back, and not live that way consistently. This means that I have to serve my community the best that I can, vote with conscience and not desire, advocate for justice, and stand in the way of the vulnerable. Jesus died for everyone, and I mean everyone. So I have to be known by what Jesus said. He said, by this, everybody is going to know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. And my love should make me a citizen who is also a pilgrim, a person who shares hopeful prophecy, a peacemaker. So I plan to be an Adventist citizen until I see the kingdom of this world become the kingdom of Jesus. My love will keep me awake, but not afraid. My God-given love will resist every type of idolatry. God will give me love that will be patriotic enough to improve the country I'm a part of, but devoted enough to God so I can resist evil when it shows up. My love will keep me engaged, but not entangled, and I will remain loyal to God above everything. Just some food for thought. I hope that someday you would wrestle with your citizenship. I know some of you are really proud of it. I am newly minted proud of mine, but I always want to keep Jesus in my heart.